Hi guys, welcome back. Happy last day of February. I hope you guys have had a great first 2 months of the year, and I'm happy to round out the last day of February with this fun Snap Circuits activity. So again, as I mentioned, and as you can see, we have our Snap Circuits kit today, and we're going to do 2 more fun activities. One of these is my absolute favorite of the whole entire kit, and you'll see why. And I think we'll learn a little bit something about electricity, voltage, what those mean, and how those affect the appliances and other things relating to electrical use that we use day to day. So let's get started. Again, we have our kit. We'll open it up. I've got my little booklet that we'll be going through. It's got all the instructions, but if you follow along with me, I'll be following the same thing. I'm gonna set it right up in front of me so that we can follow along today. And today we're going to be doing projects number 11 and 12. So if you wanna open up your book or just follow along, either way, I'm going to have my kit right here next to me, and I'll show you each piece and how it should be placed on our set. So first, if you remember last time, every time we're going to be using this plastic mat. And again, you can see the things that the snap circuits will snap into. Otherwise, we're good to go. So we have our, make sure you guys can see it. There we go. We have our plastic mat. And the other thing we're always going to need for every project, if you can remember, is the battery. So we're going to find our battery. Hopefully you still have your 2 AA batteries inside it. Perfect. And we're going to put it according to our manual, according to our booklet, with the top right corner that says B1, or top left says B1. We're going to align that on C4. So if you can remember, our mat is labeled with letters down the side, numbers at the top. So we're going to put that top left corner with the B1 symbol on C4. Perfect. Should look something like this. There we go. Alrighty, next we're going to need a blue connector piece. Again, we used this last time. This first project is going to be very, very similar to one of the projects we did last time, but there's a fun little twist once we get started that you'll see, and I think it's just so fun to watch what happens happen. I don't want to spoil it yet. So we're going to place the top on C2. Again, it does not matter which direction you put this blue connector piece on, whether it's oriented this way or flipped. That only comes into play where we have our pluses and minuses. There we go. So next we're going to add our switch piece, which is S1. Mine got a little bit flipped over, but it looks like this. You can see it looks exactly like a switch. And that's going to connect the blue connector piece to our battery. And again, it doesn't matter which way you orient this. For my brain, it's easiest to do it the way that it's aligned in the book. That way I know I'm doing it right. So the off side is going to snap into the blue piece, and the on is going to snap into our battery. You can hear those 2 snaps very clearly. So here we have our switch. Again, make sure that it's in the off position. It should, if you put your kit back together correctly last time, but we do want to make sure before we start anything, it is flipped to the off position. So we only have one more piece left to add, and we're going to be using our fan today. So we're going to need our motor. We find that, here we go. So this is your motor. It's got the little propeller at the top that spins. The motor is here inside. And last time we oriented it where the positive side, here you can see that positive side, was connected to our battery, to the positive side on the battery. This time we're going to flip it. We're going to have our positive side be on the blue piece. So when you put your motor on, you should see a positive and a negative side. Doesn't actually specify the negative, but we can assume it's the opposite side of the positive. So we're going to align our positive side of our motor and snap that into the blue piece, and the other side snaps into the battery. Perfect. Okay. So yours should look something like this. Again, the positive side of the motor snapping into the blue connector piece right at the top. Our switch in the off position, our battery. Very similar setup to the activity we did last time with the motor, except the motor piece is flipped from how we had it last time. So now all that's left is to find our fan, our little spinner fan blade, and put that right on top. You are going to, there's little slats, can't really see on camera, there's slats in this that you're going to need to line up with the propeller on the motor. There we go, that's set. So now what we're going to do is turn our switch to the on position. As you can see and probably hear, and definitely feel if you're doing this along with me, you're going to see that the fan is on, totally normal. So now, when we turn the switch off, something fun should happen. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. So if we set this up correctly, which I clearly did, your fan blade gets propelled off the motor and into the air like a flying saucer, as this project is called. So this is because we switch the direction of the motor so that when you turn the switch off, instead of it slowly coming to a rest like we did in the first activity with this kit, it quickly shuts off. So the motor stops spinning immediately. There is no slowdown, which then causes the air being created, that pressure from the air of the spinning fan. There's nowhere else for that air to go. There's no way for it to slow down, and it pushes the fan blade right up off of the motor. So I thought that was a really fun way to learn about how if you switch something even just slightly in terms of these kits. Luckily this time nothing went wrong technically. It is fun to technically something went wrong, but it's a fun way for things to go wrong. But it is just a good reminder to follow the directions carefully, that even if the slightest flip of an item, one of our pieces, especially the plus and minus pieces, if you flip those, your project could go completely wrong. So in this case, it's a good thing, it's a fun thing, but I did just want to make sure that we understand that we have to follow what the book says in terms of the plus and minus pieces. So let's do it one more time, just because I think it's so fun. This is definitely my favorite activity. I don't know why, I just get a kick out of it every time the fan goes flying up. Ready? So again, 1, 2, 3. I wish I could catch it, that would be fun, but we'll just leave that there for now. So the next activity we're going to do is project number 12, which involves the fan blade again, but it's going to teach us a little bit about voltage. So voltage is the amount of power that's running through your circuit, and you've probably heard this in terms of like different electrical equipment, a certain number of volts, same thing as voltage. So I'm going to grab our fan blade that went spinning off, and we're going to have to modify our circuit just a little bit for project number 12. So I'm going to take our motor off for a quick second, but put it back so I know where to find it. We're going to take our switch off, but we will need this. So I'm going to put it back again so I know exactly where it is. We're going to keep our battery, but we're going to remove our connector piece. That's going to go back in the kit for good. So in the place of the connector piece, we're going to add our lamp, which we used last time. So we're going to find our little lamp. Here it is, the L1 symbol on it, the little bulb inside. So we're going to orient that with the L1 at the top, and that's going to be at, again, C2. So because this piece doesn't have a plus or minus, you could orient it the other way. I'm just going to do it this way for this video. So here we are, C2, our lamp. Now we're going to use the same exact pieces and put them back where we just had them, but instead of connecting into our blue connector piece, they're going to now connect into our lamp. So we have our switch that's going to go with the off connecting into the lamp, and the on connecting to the battery. And then again, make sure it's in the off position. And then again, we're going to take our motor and put the positive side into the lamp and the negative side into the battery. So you should have something set up just like this. The positive side of the motor is going into the lamp. Same exact setup to last time, just instead of the blue connector, we have our lamp now. So again, we'll put our fun little fan blade right here on top, lining that up with the propeller. Okay, we're good to go. So now we're going to turn our switch on, and now you can see our light is on. So now that we have two pieces in our circuit, one of them is a motor, the other one is the light, but both of them are using electricity to turn on. The light needs electricity and the motor needs electricity to turn the fan. So now what we're going to do is turn the switch off and see what happens. I don't know if you guys saw that, but the fan blade shot up a little bit, but definitely not as high as it did the previous time. So that's because we have the second piece that's using electricity. So before, our circuit was set up where only one of our components, the motor, needed to use the electricity. So all of the electricity was flowing to the motor. All of the power generated by the battery, all of that electricity, the only place for it to go was to the motor. So it had 100% of the electricity available in this circuit. When we added in the lamp, that also uses electricity. So instead of the motor getting everything, the lamp had to get something too. So instead of the motor having 100%, it didn't anymore. So it couldn't spin as fast, it didn't have enough, the same power as last time, so that when we turned the switch off, there wasn't the same amount of power behind the spinning fan. You could probably hear it too. You could hear that the fan was spinning slower this time than it was just the previous time. So the more pieces, the more components that you have in one circuit that require electricity, the lower the power is going to be, the power output, I should say, is going to be for the components in place. So if we added another light to this circuit, we made this a bigger circuit, then we'd be down to a third. We'd have 3 components requiring electricity, so the power output of the motor and the 2 lights would be even less. So that's just a little lesson on electricity and voltage and a visual representation of what happens when you try and overload a system with components requiring electricity. So those are our 2 activities today. I hope you learned a little something and had a little bit of fun with the flying fan. And next week, we're going to be doing a fun activity. I actually haven't picked it out yet, so stay tuned for that. I want to do something very fun to welcome in March, so stay tuned. I'll try and give you a little sneak preview before, but if not, maybe you'll just log into the video and be a little bit surprised. So I hope you guys enjoy the last day of February. I can't wait to see you guys again in March, and stay tuned for the next activity we have planned. Bye everyone!